As I'm talking, I'm going to pass two archives that I would like you all to witness and touch to change the narrative about what I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to spread one here, and I'll spread one here, and then you can kind of switch. I had to write it down because I'm not going to time. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shapel, Monique, LaBorde, and my flash talk today is going to be Educating Beyond the State, what Black political prisoners teach us about Pan-African study. When we think about education, we often train to think first about schools, universities, curriculum, policy, and the state. We are taught to imagine legitimate knowledge as something housed in formal institutions and authorized by official structures. But Pan-African study asks us to think otherwise. From its early articulations, it has been a project of uniting peoples of African descent across borders, naming shared conditions of domination, and building political and cultural futures beyond colonial fragmentation. Du Bois helped shape this Black international tradition through the Pan-African Congresses, and Nkrumah later insisted that the total emancipation of Africa and the political union of African states was necessary foundations for genuine freedom. So, Black political prisoners teach us that Pan-African study does not only happen in official sites of instruction, they happen in captivity, in letters, in memory, in disciplined reading, in political reflection, and in the struggle to remain human inside institutions designed to disappear us. If Pan-Africanism is about how Black people come to know one another across empire, colonialism, racial capitalism, and displacement, then the prison has to be understood not only as a site of repression, but also as a site where insurgent knowledge has been forged under extreme constraints. This is where epistemology matters. I am drawing in part from Black feminist epistemology, especially Patricia Hill Collins' argument that alternative ways of knowing emerge through lived experience, dialogue, an ethic of caring, and personal accountability. Collins insists that knowledge is not only simply abstract information floating above life. It is shaped by who speaks, how they come to know, what ethical relation they bear to their claims, and whether those claims remain accountable to a community. That framework is deeply useful here because Black political prisoners have often produced knowledge under precisely those conditions. They have a knowledge rooted in lived struggle, carried through correspondence, tested in their relationships, and bound up with the ethical commitment to collective freedom. I also want to suggest that this matters because colonial education has always tried to decide in advance who counts as fully human, fully rational, and fully capable of knowledge. Sylvia Wynter names this as the overrepresentation of man, as if it were the human itself. Her point is that the dominant order universalizes one particular genre of the human and then treats everyone else as a deviation, a deficiency, or a lack. Black political prisoners expose that violence with incredible clarity because the prison is one of the places where the state quite literally organizes who knowledge matters, whose life is disposable, and whose humanity can be suspended. And yet, even their study continues. If we think with figures like George Jackson, whose prison letters became a major body of Black radical thought, we see that captivity did not end intellectual life. It sharpened it. The prison letter becomes more than just correspondence. It becomes a method, a theory, testimony, a warning, and political education. It becomes a way of stitching together becomes a way of stitching together the personal and the global, the cell with the colony, and the body with the world. Jackson's letters remind us that the study can be a survival practice, but more than that, it can be a revolutionary practice. We all know Angela Davis, and she helps us sharpen this even further. She argued that prisons had become the default way of addressing social problems that they actually intensified. So when I am talking about Black political prisoners like my Uncle Abdul here, educating beyond the state, I'm also saying that they reveal the lie that the state is the sole or highest container of knowledge, justice, or human development. They show us that some of the state's institutions do not educate toward freedom at all. They manage crises, disappearance, and containment. And that means Pan-African study must be broad enough to learn from those who had to theorize freedom from inside the cage. What then do Black political prisoners teach us about Pan-African study? Well, number one, they teach us that education exceeds formal schooling. They teach us second that Black study is often collective, relational, and forged under pressure. And they teach us third that the struggle for liberation is also a struggle over knowledge itself. Who gets to name their reality, whose suffering is legible, and whose thought is recognized as theory. So I'm going to close it here. If Pan-Africanism is, at its core, a practice of Black world making, then we cannot restrict its study to the academy, the archive, or the nation state. We have to listen for it in places empire thought it had buried it deep within. We have to hear it in the letters, in the mourning at funerals, in radical memory and captivity, and in the disciplined intellectual labor of those who refuse to let the prison have the final word. Black political prisoners are not outside the tradition of Pan-African study. They are among its most radical, creative teachers. I just wanted a little note. Yes, this was my great uncle Abdul. I've been working with this in my work for my dissertation eventually with the ancestral pedagogy as an epistemical framework in philosophy and education. So I've been working on this for 5 years, using the voices of Black political prisoners because it is something very important to me. It's my lived experience. And it is my legacy. So I just wanted to thank you all for witnessing this. And yes, have a good day.